Imagine yourself on vacation in Florida with a bunch of friends. You're all having the time of your lives playing in the ocean. You think nothing can go wrong until the worst thing imaginable happens. The strong undercurrent takes one of your friends under, and he can't gain the strength to overcome the wave to get back up. You all swim towards him and pull him up, but he's unresponsive. There's no lifeguard on duty at this beach, and none of you know CPR. That would be a terrifying situation, and your only option is to call 911. CPR is good for everyone to know in case of any unexpected emergency. I've been a lifeguard for 3 years now, and we are required to retest CPR every year. A lot of people just picture CPR as someone pumping on a chest, but there's really a lot of steps to take before and after that. A lot of people have heard of CPR and know what it is, but they don't always know what CPR means or how to perform it. CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. If you ever come across an unresponsive adult body, the first step you do is survey the scene. You do this by surveying the area around to make sure there's nothing to harm you or the victim. After you ensure a safe area, you should check for signs of life, such as skin color, temperature, pulse, and if the chest is rising and falling. After checking for safety and signs of life, you should check for the pulse. You check for the pulse in the carotid artery, which is located in the neck. You use your index finger and your middle finger, but don't use your thumb because your thumb has a pulse, which can get messed up with theirs. If the adult has a pulse, but you do not see the chest rising and falling, you do not need to begin CPR, just give rescue breaths. For an adult, you breathe slowly in the person's mouth every 5 seconds, 24 times. If the adult has no pulse, this is where you begin CPR. To perform CPR, you place the palm of your strong hand in the middle of the person's chest or breast line. Like, you take your strong hand, then you fold your other hand on top of it and place it in the center. After that, then you begin 30 chest compressions. After the 30 chest compressions, you check them out and give the adult 2 slow breaths, followed by 30 more chest compressions. Sometimes the victim may vomit. If this happens, then you should roll the victim away from you and let them vomit until they are finished. Once they are finished, roll them back on their back and check their mouth. Then you should give them 2 slow breaths. You keep repeating this process until the EMS shows up. Once the EMS shows up, you should report to them exactly what happened and what you did to help. If you are dealing with a child instead of an adult, you would react the same way. First, you need to survey the scene to ensure a safe area and check for signs of life, and then call 911. If you do not see the chest rise and fall, you should begin rescue breathing. For a child, you should give a half breath every 3 seconds, 40 times. You check the pulse in the carotid artery just like the adult. If the child should lose their pulse, this is when you begin CPR and 30 compressions and 2 rescue breaths. Except you would only use 1 hand for the compressions instead of 2. Take your strong hand and place it in the center of the breast just like the line of the child, and place the other hand behind your back. Then give 30 strong compressions. When giving your 2 rescue breaths to a child, you do 2 half breaths rather than 2 full breaths. When the EMS arrives, you should report to them what happened and how you reacted, how many rounds of CPR you successfully delivered, and if they vomited or not. If you're giving a CPR to an infant, you should survey the scene and make sure it is safe. Check for signs of life and call 911, just like an adult or a child. If you do not see the infant's chest rising and falling, you should give them rescue breaths. The infant gets 1 cheek puff every 3 seconds, 40 times. You check an infant's pulse in the brachial artery, which is located on the inner side of their arm. You can find it by following up from their pinky up to their brachial artery. If the child should lose their pulse, then you begin CPR. For an infant, you only use 2 fingers for compressions. You put your 2 fingers in the center of their chest, and then you begin 30 compressions. For the rescue breaths of an infant, you should give 2 cheek puffs rather than a full or half breath, so the infant is not getting too much oxygen. When the EMS arrives, you should still report to them what happened, just like an adult or child. So the main thing to keep in mind when giving CPR is to work fast and keep the blood pumping. Remember to always keep your arms locked when giving compressions and be consistent. Don't forget to ensure a safe area before beginning CPR so that you or the victim is not injured. It is important to remember the differences between the adult, child, and infant so you do not hurt them more than they already are. Now that you all have the knowledge of CPR, you too could help save someone's life.